Hello everyone, we are looking at Quant here, QNT, Simon from the Wells of Wall Street here. So welcome aboard. Guys, not going to go into depth of the project in this one, it's more of an intake of some analysis on the chart. We have hit some buy areas, so this is one that I've been trying to add to my portfolio for some time. I missed the major rises, of course, earlier this year. But there's always opportunity on the way down. We were seeing this decline continue, and we put in some buy orders of opportunity, if you remember our last video, which I believe was on the 28th of November. There we go. So since then, what has occurred? Well, of course, there's a couple of things really. So the 28th of November, we are at this roundabouted price. We did anticipate that it would come down a bit further. Why did we think that? Let's just do a quick recap on that for those that are new to Quant or this video in particular. We saw obviously the big uptake here, various announcements and things like this, and of course general organic bull runs. This in essentially where we were mentioning in the previous video, these areas around here are very much around the price discovery mode, because we have this sort of take up here, and then since then it's very much testing new ground. However, you can't always just go and do that and continue your path upwards, because there is no support mechanism or foundation on there, which means when you get certain elements of decline, you get them almost forcefully, more so than you would on the uptake in a longer period. So what we mean by that is that obviously we've had these take ups, but with no support mechanism, we will eventually come down to the lower regions. It's always 9 times out of 10 happens. Most of the time it's a patience game. It can happen in a few weeks. It can happen over a few months. I mean, look at this uptake from here. 4th of September we're talking about. Very much near enough, 3 months? So we're now back to where we were 3 months ago. For me, I put in some buy areas around here at the 130 mark. Which we drew the lines in. So I had a buy order here around I think I did it at 136 actually, to be honest, just slightly above the 135. And I've got a lower one down here which just about missed it. I tried to do one just above the $100 mark. Look at that, came down to 111. But I'm sitting tight because I do think we may come back down to these areas before we do a nice little turnaround and correction of QNT, taking it back to the upside. So just to reiterate, we put these areas in here purely because one at the lower region, because we have touch points here of resistance back here in June, around the $104 mark. And that's where we also took off after hitting that resistance level. It was kind of a penetration mark. So I thought, well, we may not come all the way fully down to that $100 mark. And I think a lot of people who have invested in Quant and believe in its infrastructure and everything like that will want to try and keep that above it. So I do anticipate lots of volume coming in at those lower regions of 100 to push it up. How can we confirm that? Well, quite simply on the day of those leverages that went crazy. By the way, I'm not preaching here because we drew these lines in here. I wasn't anticipating that drop down until probably a couple of weeks time. That's what we said in the video, but it's quite clear that obviously that's helped us out fast forward it almost, which might reduce the impact as we come further down over these next week or so to bring it up in a quicker fashion. What I love about it is the resistance at that level immediately, and clearly people were like, wow, I'm going to get myself a bargain here, get it back in at $101. Not necessarily a whole one. Some people will accumulate smaller sections of QNT like with other assets. It's all about the gains, not the price necessarily. And of course, since then, profit taking probably again, as that is probably a big jump. I mean, look at that. So the low of 111, and I think we closed at 188, guys. Can you imagine putting your 111 in there and then getting $70 within that one day? And then, of course, you're going to take some profits. You're probably thinking, well, this is on a bit of a decline anyway. I'm going to carry this on. I'm going to take whatever I've just put in this morning, make a quick turn on it. A lot of shorts went in, that's for sure. And I'm sure some quant-related shorts went in to take advantage of that. And then, of course, you get the profit taking and then a continuation of people like me who weren't awake on that day properly. I was playing Football Manager and I missed that complete dip. That's why I had my limit orders on some of my options. Some of the assets out there I just completely missed out on. I was fuming with myself. But Quant was one of the ones I didn't let get away, and I'm very pleased with that because I've always wanted to hold this. I was looking at it back when it was like something like $30-40 earlier this year, and I was like, maybe I've got a big portfolio. Didn't do it. Was all the way up here at 200, and I was like, I'm not even bothering. There's no point. I'll just bite the bullet on that one, have to wait a long time, or just see what corrections take place. So we're taking advantage of that. Like I said, I don't think it's fully over. There is an argument to say that we can come back down to this $100 mark, have a nice little U-turn here, and I do think that we'll probably have. I don't like too many of the terminologies here because I think some people say it for the sake of it, but I'm going for the shape perspective of like that cup and handle movement, in the sense that I feel we'll get a U shape, maybe a bit of a tail off, and then take us back up, potentially and more than likely taking us higher levels in the current coming bull run to beyond that sort of $500 mark. But in the grand scheme of things, like I said with about gains, it's if you're buying down at these areas, whether it's at this $100 mark or even 70, and we come back up, getting back to that 500 mark, obviously there's going to be some resistance there anyway. But once we go beyond that, I don't know why I said 500 to be honest. I think it was 409. Sorry, I've gone completely mad. But when you get to those levels, you're going to see some resistance anyway, and then a take up hopefully beyond that to another price discovery mode, and that will give us another move probably like this at some point. So you're going to get a good 3-5 times, maybe even more. Who knows what's going on with this market that we perceive to be having in the coming months. I don't believe we're in a bear market fully, or like a winter market kind of thing. I think it's just purely correctional periods based on the movements we've had. It's not until you pull the charts out that you really identify how far we've come in a multitude of crypto assets out here. So a few more observations before we wrap up. So I've got here, there's loads of lines. Don't worry, it's not as confusing as you think it is. We'll run through them all. So I've got additional RSI levels here. So as if you've watched previous videos today, I've added these in and I will keep them in moving forward just through people's requests really. So this allows me to identify where we are on the RSI. So I've obviously quite a lot used the 14-day one on all my videos on a 2-week basis, but I'm now putting in the monthly one as well to give a bit more of an overview as to where we are in a slightly longer term, but also a 90-day 3-month one. So that actually helps us entail this big jump up that we had a few months ago that we just talked about, and indicating to me that actually this drop may not be fully complete in this 3-month cycle because it's still floating around that sort of 46 mark. Ideally, on a 3-month scale, or like any of the RSIs that I do, I always look at 40 as a minimum. So we've hit that on the 14-day. We're now under it on the 28 days. So that's given me another opportunity to think, right, I'm going to add another bag in there. And I've got some USDT ready, again, back at those lower regions of around $105 or to $102, in anticipation that 90-day close might reach that area. It might not, but the fact of the matter is I've hit 2 very nice buy points in my opinion, and I've reduced the risk, in my opinion. It's not financial advice, of course, but I've reduced the risk of it coming down a lot further. I know in my mind that it might come down a bit further, but you don't know. You just don't know the 100% factual information about this. That's why as an investor or as someone, I don't go around saying, I told you this, I told you that, or this is going to definitely happen. I just go based on my opinion of what's been working for me in the last year and a half. And this is once again, in my opinion, worked in the sense that I believe this will turn around and come up eventually. It might just be a small waiting game again in this period of time. I think we are aiming for the way to be finished soon and then switch over. But of course, with leveraging and stuff like that, you just don't know. And world events as well take their toll on markets also. So, you just got to anticipate with these things on the way down as well as on the way up. Don't just chuck all your bags in immediately and think, wow, that was a big drop, I'm taking advantage, because there are constant movements beyond that as well in the coming days, as well as they do on the way up as well. Same principle with launch tokens and things like that. So loads of variables, loads going on, but that's where I see it going. So I think this is a good area. Again, not financial advice, is a good area personally for me to be getting some accumulating like I did over the last couple of days. And I'm just waiting a bit more to put in a bit extra in those lower regions, save myself. It sounds silly, but saving yourself like a few dollars here and there. But in this instance, if it does come down to those regions, on the chart, it doesn't look so big. But of course, monetary value, you're looking at something, a good $40-50 saving there. So that's what I'm holding out for really, is to try and grab that. I've grabbed some, like I said, around this 138 mark. Very happy with that. Of course, it came down a lot further to that 111 mark. So it could be that I'm very ambitious around this 105. I'm just going to be patient to see if it plays out. Like I said, I've hit this one. I'm very proud of that aspect on the 134. Yes, of course, it would have been lovely to have got to 111, but that's how I played it in the future. I thought I'm going to be a bit more greedy on that aspect and try and hit those lower regions. 114 was the mark. So let's see where this stabilizes. Hopefully we can obtain a new support level for QNT and take it up for another ride in the perhaps the coming weeks. So that's the wrap up of QNT, guys. Still in a bearish momentum, but I'm positive that there's great opportunities here to obtain it, especially if you're a quant fan and you missed out like I did earlier in the year, especially in the last few months of the big rise that we had. These are staring you in the face, guys. Oh, that's all I'm saying. So guys, we'll wrap that there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in a few days time in the next QNT video update. Bye bye.